I give the floor to the representative of Germany.
Mr. President, at the outset, let me thank the Secretary General for his presentation as well as for the comprehensive report of October 2011 on the rule of law and transitional justice. We are also pleased that today's open debate is taking place under the presidency of South Africa, a country that has set an historic example in the field of transitional justice through its own process of truth and reconciliation. Germany, which aligns itself with a statement that will be delivered on behalf of the European Union, reaffirms its firm commitment to an international order based on international law and the rule of law with the United Nations as its core. Our own history has shown us the disastrous consequences of disregarding even the most basic rules, without which societies are relegated to a state of lawlessness and moral destitution. Today, strengthening the rule of law is a priority area within our international cooperation activities, and we are currently providing targeted rule of law assistance to partner countries worldwide. Mr. President, both the UN Charter and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights recognize the relevance of the rule of law for lasting international peace and security. The issue cuts deeply through the entire spectrum of activities undertaken by the United Nations in general and by this Council in particular. The presence or non-presence of the rule of law ultimately determines success or failure. This applies to the protection of civilians as it does to children in armed conflict or to women, peace and security, to name but a few key areas. In this context, we welcome the establishment and activities undertaken by the Rule of Law Coordination and Resource Group, chaired by the Deputy Secretary General and supported by the Rule of Law Unit. However, we call upon all participating agencies in the group to redouble their efforts to define and implement a unified and comprehensive approach to strengthening the rule of law worldwide and to address relevant gaps in their program activities. We note with satisfaction that the Security Council, in exercising its mandate, has been playing an increasingly crucial role in the promotion of the rule of law. This is most notable in the more than 160 references to rule of law and transitional justice made since 2004 in its thematic and country-specific resolutions. In the same period, the Council has included support for the rule of law in the mandates of at least 14 peacekeeping and special political missions worldwide. In this context, we appreciate the achievements of inter alia, UNMIL in Liberia, UNIPSIL in Sierra Leone, as well as the fact that UNMISS has made the strengthening of the rule of law in South Sudan a key priority. The UN Peacebuilding Commission also has a critical role to play in this regard. The promotion of justice and rule of law has become an integral part of peacebuilding strategies for countries on the PBC's agenda, such as Liberia and Sierra Leone. Furthermore, this Council has recently been further integrating the rule of law as a basis for its own work, as is evident from the establishment of the Ombudsperson under the Al-Qaeda sanctions regime through Resolution 1989 and the ongoing discussions by the Council of its working methods. In this regard, we fully recognize the scope for expanding this basis as outlined in the Secretary General's report. For example, more frequent use could indeed be made of Article 36 of the Charter, which allows the Council to recommend to states to refer legal aspects of international disputes to the International Court of Justice. Also, the acceptance by more states of the Court's jurisdiction as compulsory would greatly contribute to further anchoring the rule of law both within the Security Council and in international relations. From among the current members of this Council, only 5 states have deposited such a declaration, and we therefore call upon those Council members, as well as non-Council members, that have not yet done so to consider taking this important step. Mr. President, given the importance of accountability to the rule of law, combating impunity becomes, by definition, an obligation. The Nuremberg Declaration on Peace and Justice of 2007 therefore correctly states that, I quote, "The most serious crimes of concern to the international community, notably genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity, must not go unpunished, and that their effective prosecution must be ensured. As a minimal application of this principle, amnesties must not be granted to those bearing the greatest responsibility for such crimes and violations of international humanitarian law," end of quote. These objectives have recently been further served by this Council when it created the International Residual Mechanism for Criminal Tribunals through Resolution 1966, and when it referred the situation in Libya to the International Criminal Court through Resolution 1970. In this context, let me reiterate my country's continuing support for the ICC and its invaluable contribution to the strengthening of the rule of law. Germany recognizes the importance of transitional justice as an essential component of efforts to strengthen the rule of law and as a viable contribution to peace and security. We therefore fully support the call for a comprehensive transitional justice policy in countries emerging from conflict that involves criminal prosecution, institutional reforms, redress for victims, as well as the establishment of truth and reconciliation commissions. In this context, the focus of the international community in the area of rule of law should be on broadening and deepening civilian capacity within countries emerging from conflict. Mr. President, in the wake of the historic changes symbolized by the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989, many countries have undergone the transition to democracy, and in other cases, new nations have emerged. And since last year, we have observed momentous change in the Middle East and North Africa, where the Arab Spring continues to unfold. While the hopes and specific challenges connected to these developments might differ in each and every case, the establishment of the rule of law remains a common benchmark for success on all levels, be it the realization of a people's political aspirations, the enhancement of prosperity, or the creation of sustainable economic development. To strengthen the rule of law, whether at the national or international level, whether through conflict prevention or peace building, is an investment that pays. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Germany for his statement. I now